is Leslie Preddy. I'm school librarian at Perry Meridian Middle School. Today I'm going to talk about how to turn scraps of household items into notebooks. So here we have a Ding Dong journal and a Frosted Mini Wheats notebook, macaroni and cheese notebook, a Bounce dryer sheets book. And what you can do with these books is write your own story. This one, my son started Once Upon a Time, and he's got a story he's written in here. Or you could keep your own journal, or you could make lists of things, anything you would want to put in writing or to draw. It could be an artist notebook, anything that you can imagine, and it would be yours. And it's just using found materials that you have in your home. And this is the kind of thing that my mom used to do when I was young. She had 4 kids at home, and so it could be very tough to wrangle us, especially when we had snow days, and there was once we had a blizzard. We were home for 2 or 3 weeks, and she was getting pretty tired of us, and she was very creative at finding things around the home to try and help keep us busy and out of trouble and entertained. So let's see what we can do today. Your custom books can come in all shapes and sizes, as you see here. All you need is some tape, scissors, a pen or pencil, a stapler, a straight edge like a ruler or a paint stick, paper, and if you have a crafts cutting board, that would be great, but if you don't have a crafter's cutter, that's okay, you can just use your scissors. And of course, you need some cardboard to recycle. And so you see here, I have some containers from our recycling, Hostess Ding Dongs, macaroni and cheese, Bounce dryer sheets. And with these, my family was able to make these little customized notebooks. And some of these notebooks are used for journaling, others for writing stories, others for drawing and artwork. The ideas for what you can use with your notebook are endless. I have what is going to be the front and the back of my notebook. And you want to take and make maybe a 20-page notebook, and that'll give you 40 pages if you write or draw on the front and the back. I can use my cardboard mac and cheese cover of my notebook as a template to trace. So if I take that and then I trace, and I have about 4 pages here that I can cut at a time. If I look carefully, I can get more than one set in. So I'm going to trace the next row. And then it looks like I can even get a 3rd row. If you want to be really smart about it, take your measurements for a piece of paper, and you can make a notebook that is either a half size of a piece of paper. So a piece of paper is 8.5 by 11, so it's 8.5 by 11. If you want to make a notebook or a journal that is half that, you could do those measurements and figure that out, or just fold the paper in half. If you want to make a notebook that is a 1/4 of that, those are easy ways in which to turn a piece of paper into, this one would be 4 pages. All you'd have to do is cut it, but you could use all the paper for that. For this one though, I have an odd sort of shape. So first I traced, and then I will cut all of these out and then recount to make sure that I have my 20 pieces. For my stapler, more than 20 pieces, and then the cardboard cover and back, my stapler has a little bit of trouble stapling it. So you might want to practice with your stapler to see what your stapler can handle, but mine was good with 20. put a crease on the spine of my notebook journal. So I'm just going to take my ruler and kind of eyeball it, and I'm going to bring it in just a little bit. Press very hard on my ruler to hold it in place, and then bend up and use the ruler's edge to help me give my spine. Now you can see that I have a crease there. So now I'm going to take that crease and I'm going to fold it over just a little bit to give it a little bit more of a bend. I also have over here my papers that I cut out and the back of the book I'm creating. So I take those papers and sandwich those. Here's my back. Here are the papers I cut, and here's the front of my book. I have my trusty stapler. Straighten it up the best that I can. I'm going to take a staple and I'm going to put it in the center of my spine. So now I have one staple here, and I'll take one and put one at the top. And again, one at the bottom. So when I turn it over, you can see that the stapler is in. If you don't like how the staple works, like this one is a little wonky, you can take it out and you can try again. But because my spine crease here, now I can open my book and I have all of my pages that I can now journal in, draw in, write a story, make a picture book, keep notes about what's going on right now, a daily journal, all sorts of things. So anything you can imagine and you can dream, you can put in there. I have quite a few people in my house who are enjoying some ding-dongs, and so I have taken this box, and we talked earlier about how sometimes it could be easier if you find something that when you measure a regular sheet of paper, it's 8.5 by 11. So a ding-dong box I'm able to trim down so it's 5.5 by 8.5, which means that all I have to do is fold my paper over and then put a crease. So if I continue to do this for pages, and that way I can stack the papers on top of each other. If you try and do a big group like this, that makes it, you can do that for the folding part, but then I would recommend you take them apart when it comes time to staple. And I'm counting now. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to make a book of 16. I have my papers. They're all folded in half. I'm pressing down this crease. And in this way, I actually don't have to cut all these papers. As long as I'm okay with making my Sweet Treat Hostess booklet like this so that it opens this way. And that is fine with me, but if you had decided that you wanted to open it this way instead and make it a long book, then you would want to cut the pages in half because you see you can't open them unless you cut them down. But we're going to do this today. I'm going to do it like this. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to give it my spine crease again. So I'm holding down as hard as I can. I'm folding the cardboard. Once I have the cardboard folded, then I remove the ruler and I press down with my hands to try and reinforce that spine crease. And now I have my spine ready to go. I take my stapler, and I have found that stapling in the center first is easiest for me. So I'm going to staple in the center, and then I'm going to staple both ends. And now I have my Hostess Sweet Treat book that I can start filling with my thoughts or ideas or journaling about what's happening this week, or write my own book, make a picture book for a younger neighborhood person or for myself. There are different ways that you can do the spine. You could, if you have a hole punch, you could punch holes in and yarn to tie it together along the spine. You can also add, as we talked before, if you have some decorative tape. Right now what I have is painter's tape, and my daughter thought that showing the staples was kind of ugly. So I don't have any fancy craft tape, but I do have the painter's tape. So I'm just going to lay the tape along the spine to cover the staples, and then fold it over to the back. And take my scissors and just trim off the excess. And so now I have a nice spine to my book. If you don't have a ruler, any straight edge will do. So here I actually have a paint stir stick. So anything you have around your house can help you make that crease. So I'm going to line it up. And this one we're going to fold up like an old-fashioned police notebook, if you've seen any of the old crime shows. So we've got the paper that we've cut. We have the miniature cereal box, front and back. And this one was a lot of fun because it actually had the same pattern on both sides. And then get our trusty stapler. This is a pretty small book, so I'm going to put a staple on one end and then on the other. And that's all I'm going to do for this book, so just 2 staples. And now I can lift it up and I can play detective. So today, my family, just using materials we found around the house, paper, a ruler, tape, scissors, stapler, and cardboard from old boxes, we were able to make quite a few items. We have a long macaroni and cheese notebook, a square notebook, which my son already started a story, Once Upon a Time, a big book, a quarter-size book, and a small book. So thinking about what you have at home and supplies that you have around you, what can you make?